Welcome. This is the Drops of Infinity podcast, and here we are for another episode today, together with Caroline Quirene. Caroline, what are we talking about today?
Today, we base ourselves on a podcast of Mayim Bialik's breakdown with Deepak Chopra, and we specify on the topic of dark matter because there's enough to say about that.
Yes, indeed. Okay, that sounds like a great idea. Go ahead.
So, in the video, Deepak Chopra says the dark matter. We don't know a lot about it. So the scientists, they just don't know what it is. He calls it like the gravity that brings things together, but for the rest, it's a mystery. So I'm asking you, Sabrina, what do you know about that? Because there's a lot
Yes.
more to the eye. Yeah.
I can approach this from different angles, from more microscopical angles and a macroscopic angle. I would start by saying that dark matter is actually the field of limitless potentials. So the dark matter is all that is unseen still. And those fields of dark matter are in this cosmos, what scientists talk about, but they are also within us because we live in the template of the emerald tablet of the Hermetic principle as within, so without, as above, so below. So if you would say that our cosmos is a cosmic tree of life, and that tree of life has a trunk and a bed of leaves. Um, it it follows the cosmic seasons of a cosmic fall, a winter, a spring, a summer, and in that evolutionary flux, that is how I call it, an evolutionary flux of cosmos that we abide in as well. All this dark matter, which is yet unseen, it comes to life in every different cosmic cycle. So this means that we on Earth, we live in a specific segment of cosmos. And maybe I can share it in a visual. I think it's always nice to have visuals. These come from my book. They're metaphoric visuals, of course, but if you would say that this is our cosmos, cosmic tree of life, and you can subdivide it in different segments. I would say that we are living here in this segment. You have here the divine verses, and below you have more the foundation of cosmos. And in between those branches, it's all unknown. This is all dark matter. These are fields that are empty. These are voids that need to be filled with consciousness. And cosmos, if you would consider that cosmos is a light being that is also doing its self-realization process, then of course through this evolutionary flux, or her or him, of course she is, I tend to say her, but there is no gender. As she follows that flux, she gradually unfolds all the unseen seeds of life that she holds within. And for us, it's the same thing, because we as a soul, we also have our cosmic structure. This is our cosmic soul, or our I am presence on a cosmic level. And we also need to fulfill this full blooming. We also have to go through all those inner cosmic seasons to really unfold all our potentials. And we do that by illuminating them, by bringing them into our consciousness and shedding light onto them. So there are many layers of consciousness that we still need to bring into light and to embody. If we embody them here as human being, we can live them here as a human being. We embody our divinity by doing so. So this would be a first approach in explaining what dark matter is about.
So what I understand is that the dark matter is a field of infinite possibilities, and it exists outside of us, but also inside of us. And the purpose is to, what you call this tree of life. But there I have a question over. It looks like this tree of life because it's finite. Because you say when it's finite, what happens? We talked about it in our previous video. So the field might be infinite with the possibilities, but our mission, our soul, our consciousness, how do I explain it right? Is finite.
On that level, yes, you're absolutely right. So to go into a completion for our cosmos, but also for ourselves as a cosmic being of light, if we want to unfold all our potentials on a cosmic level, in a way, these potentials are finite. But there is much more to us than our cosmic soul. So as soon as we embody the cosmic level, we actually transcend that level and a new field of possibilities open. When I was working with the group of people that do my advanced levels of Venus light technology, we actually tapped into a field of light, the worlds of light. And that's the difference between finite and infinite. In this part of creation that we as a creational soul decided to start creating in, we created as an I am presence, we created the source field, we created this cosmos, we are creations of we are creators of creation. So we created the source field, we created this cosmos. Within this cosmos, we co-created all galaxies, you know, all universes, all planets, all stars. And this cosmos has a membrane. Everything that is in it is finite. The dark matter is also finite. It's just unseen. But to us, it is limitless because it has a limitless potential. Because in the end, and that is the intrinsic property of a fractal, it keeps recreating itself. It keeps recreating itself. So if cosmos and we, if you start to bring your unseen potentials to the light, these light potentials then start to create. We are creational beings, we create. And so they keep on creating fractal wise until this space, that cosmos is, that you are, is completely full grown and is completely full, full of branches, full of leaves, full of consciousness, it's full of consciousness. And even within this overpopulated cosmos that is full with seen consciousness, within one can always in quantum particles keep creating, because on a quantum level space is infinite. And this makes me think of a chapter that I wrote in my book, and I think it was related to an Egyptian temple, Dendera. And in that book, we went into the deeper layers of Dendera temple in the earth, and I was introduced to a sphere within the earth. And that sphere within the earth, it was a quantum sphere because it immediately gave access. As soon as you entered, it gave access to the entire cosmos. So I think what I'm trying to say is that in the finite definition of cosmos and in the finite definition of our soul on that cosmic level, we can infinitely keep creating, because on a quantum level, that is the microscopic aspect, creation is infinite. But within that template.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you pierce the template, because you decide it is good, it's all right. So, and you transcend your cosmic levels, then new worlds open, then your consciousness expands to new worlds. And I think
and they're already existing, or you create new worlds?
they are already existing, because you create it yourself top down. So we are in a very dense matter. This is Earth.
So actually, you created it already before.
Yes. We on Earth, we live in dense matter. But the levels that I'm talking about, even cosmos is dense matter. It is form. These are the worlds of form. And in the worlds of form, the form itself constitutes a template in which you create. And you can infinitely create. And I think this has a purpose too. Because when I was channeling Cosmos itself, and when Cosmos told me, well, I need to have all my wisdom codes, all the unseen, I need to have it brought to the scene, so that every resonance of the unseen that becomes seen, that code contains a vibration. So if I move every aspect of myself from the unseen to the seen, I get that code, I get that wisdom code, I get that vibration. And then all those different vibrations, they actually constitute, or they form my self-realization, because then I obtain my core vibration, and then everything unlatches and opens, and I transcend that cosmic template, and then I move beyond the cosmic world, and I move beyond the cosmic consciousness. And the reason is why we infinitely can create within that template is because there is no competition between the beings that incarnate on cosmos, even on Earth. There is no competition. We need to wait for each other. We cannot leave this cosmos, or we choose to not leave this cosmos until everything and everyone is ready. And those who are slower, and they need to bring things to the scene, and we have already done it in our self-realization and illumination process, we can just keep creating from within. And we already create in the other worlds simultaneously, because we can, because we expanded into those levels as well within the quantum essence of ourselves. So this means that we are limitless, even in a template. So we can create infinitely within a certain template, within a certain level of consciousness that Deepak Chopra refers to as a simulation.
Okay, so the simulation, what we call the matrix, is the template, and we can create infinitely within this
Yes,
template simulation.
because light creates infinitely. Light creates infinitely from within. That is a property of light. It expands infinitely as well.
So this simulation, Deepak Chopra calls it a cosmic dream, the simulation of cosmic consciousness. It's only data, and within this data, there are also infinite possibilities within the simulation. But they describe it as the world is wearing a mask, and quantum computing, and consciousness is infinite and also borderless. But what you say, this simulation isn't borderless. It has a finite.
It has a form.
It has a form, yes, a finite form. So in that aspect, there's a difference because within the form, it's infinite. But
on a quantum light level, we can create on a quantum level infinitely within a form, but then the consciousness still remains on that form level. These are the worlds of form. These are not the formless worlds, but within, if you create on the levels of light, from a certain point of view, what you create in that form remains on the levels of that form. And at the same time, and this is a bit the intricacy, at the same time, as we speak, I can see that the light also creates itself if you are ready for it, if a part of your essence is already transcending that form of transcending the simulation, you already create on the levels of the worlds transcending that cosmic level or transcending that form. But there is a choice that you need to make. There is within a different click that you need to make to say, okay, I'm ready to dissolve this form because I want to move beyond. I want to move more in the formless ways of being. And there are different layers of formless ways of being as well. I don't know, is that an answer to your question?
so what I hear that our reality is within a certain simulation, but you call it a template. What is the difference between calling it a simulation and a template? Because
Well,
feels
I call
different.
it a template or a form. For me, this is my intuitive feeling, of course. But a template and a form is something intrinsic to you. It is unique to you. It is a choice. It is an inner level of consciousness that you chose to bring into existence, that you chose to bring into manifestation. It is not something that is outside of you. For instance, the matrix, that will be something that you are dropped into and you need to understand what it is. And how I perceive it, the matrix also, or a simulation that you find yourself in, is a world that you need to learn to navigate in a way, and where you experience that you did not choose it, but you were dropped into it, and that you did not have that choice. Now, if with all the work that I have done so far on with all the people and all the souls that I work with, on all the levels that we transcended, we always saw that whatever consciousness level a soul decided to manifest, the inner consciousness level, let's say you are an I am presence and you want to really manifest yourself on a cosmic level, so you incarnate in this cosmos, you chose it. You did not fall into the cosmic matrix. You chose to exist in this cosmic realm, and you know that this cosmic realm is a realm that works on the template of light and shadow. Light, the seen, shadow, the unseen. Not darkness, the unseen. And so bringing your unseen aspects into the seen, that is called illumination. And so that to me is the difference between my intuitive difference between something that we are dropped into, like a simulation that we need to understand or navigate in, and an inner choice as a creator being, that we chose to exist in that creation because we also manifest in it a part of ourselves. We fractalize a cosmic form, a cosmic template, so we can operate on these levels. It is a choice. And by experiencing it in truth as a choice, you don't suffer powerlessness. You don't suffer from fear or being overwhelmed or feelings of not being adequate or not being good enough, because those feelings belong to the world of light and dark. And that is what darkness is. The people who misbehave in a way, they do that because they are on a survival, because they really think they are powerless, that they are dropped in something that they cannot manage, and that they need to fight to make their way through and move with their elbows, or ensure that they are not abandoned by really keeping people with them and manipulating. So this to me is the intrinsic difference between the matrix, something that we fall into in our belief system, or this template and this form that we chose to incarnate ourselves in, to fractalize ourselves in as a soul extension of our greater soul.
Can we assume that what you describe as the matrix we fall into, that is the old belief, the belief of the old earth, and that we now move into the new reality of being a co-creator?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is the old ways. These are the ways, these are based upon fear. That's fear consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the new light consciousness. Also the things about what they say about ETs, abductions, and it might happen, but it can also be that these are soul parts of you that exists, and parts of cosmos that you are. So these are indeed, as you say, it's the old energy of light, and it's the old light and dark template, but it's not a template of light as such, as us as a creator being.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but as you say, and also Deepak Chopra says it, like we see what we believe and we believe what we see. So if we have these old beliefs of we are being dropped and powerless into a simulation, a system that already exists, then that's what becomes our reality. But if we're shifting now from that belief to we are part of it and we are co-creating, we change this reality. So actually the new earth, we can say it's more like a vibration than really a reality on itself, like a material. I mean, in fact, we materialize what we believe. So if we change the belief, we make really, literally, a new world, and it all
Yeah.
starts from within.
Yes, we actually just leave the illusion that we are victimized. We are not victimized. We chose this. We actually created it ourselves. And so as we are here and we keep seeing it as, oh, things overcome me, I am a victim. Why am I not abundant? Why do I suffer from this or from that? Well, it's because you chose it.
Yes, and it was in the old earth needed. It was never needed, but that was the way how it was going with the collective consciousness, what we needed to grow. But this part we don't need anymore. We don't need the suffering in order to grow.
No, no, as you say that, and as you speak, and I listen to your words, and I tune into the energy of those meanings, I can see that in this segment of cosmos, and I will show it again where we are, which is here. If you consider that this is the form of cosmos, in this segment, and this is not the first time, I can see that there is this um, veil of a certain, it's not a belief system, it is not a program, and how I perceive it, it has a plasma structure, so it's not permeable. And this is a kind of illusion, but we are in it, and it is fear-based. So for everyone that is working on human trauma, ancestral trauma, transgenerational trauma, epigenetics, that is still limited, because then you work or you work on your lights on that level. But if you consider that there is a huge cosmic illusion even beyond that, you are trapped within that fear-based consciousness, then basically if you only work on the human layers and on the soul levels here, you don't transcend that. And by consequence, you cannot illuminate your unseen cosmic aspects.
So because everything what is without is within, this veil is also within us.
Yeah, the energy of it, the fear-based consciousness of it, the existential insecurity of the worlds of shadow, of the unseen, the worlds of the unseen. In a certain way. And I think that has been one of the most interesting sessions that I have done in my life. And it's not so long ago. It was with the people who were doing with me Venus light technology, the cosmic midwife, the third level. And so we tapped into the creational worlds of the formless beings that we are ourselves, God, we are God. In a way, because we chose to exist, and as soon as we existed, we started to create. We looked back at creation and how we created it, so the worlds of light and shadow, and we looked at it and we said, that's not what we wanted. That's not what we wanted. And if we could redo it again, we would only create worlds of light, which do not descend into matter so much. They stay in the realms of light. They operate on the templates of light. And when you operate on only templates of light, creation is infinite, because light is infinite. You can create with light infinitely. In matter, you don't, because there is always form, and form always imposes a limit on the infinite. It is finite, infinite, or infinite, finite. It is duality in itself. Being in a form is being in duality in itself, unless on a quantum level you are able to transcend your form, you are able to transcend the membrane of your form, and you evaporate your light into the higher levels of yourself, of your sphere of light.
As a human being.
As a human being. Absolutely, as a human being. Absolutely possible.
But why do we see now like this is not what we wanted, to create the shadow and light? Because we're talking about dark matter. Eh? Why could you say that the dark matter would not exist if there's only light?
Dark matter does not exist if there's only light, because dark matter is what needs to be unfolded, what needs to still evolve, what is not yet seen and what wants to be seen. But the thing is, what is not seen and what is unknown gives so much nourishment to existential insecurity. And souls, they don't want to be insecure. They want to feel secure. They want to have the proximity of their inner mother and father. Even we as a human, we want to feel safe. But on a cosmic level, that is the exact same thing. We want to thrive safely. And so where there are regions that we still need to develop within ourselves, like starting something new. That's very challenging. It's very exciting. Will we succeed? Will we fail? This already the thought kind of gives us the emotion of I will retract, And in the worlds of light, you never retract. You always keep evolving, fractal wise. You keep recreating. And it is nice, to really build your soul and descend into matter and really build and let your light infuse into all your levels of matter, even in this 3D world. But it has a negative consequence, and that is that we become insecure because we forget.
And
Because we are in that veil, we are in that template.
so, but we created that template.
We created that template.
But that's part of the old world. So if we do the shadow work within ourselves, it will change outside also.
Yes, absolutely. We created that template, but most of us don't remember that because what we don't see, we don't believe for most people on earth. So they don't see that they created it, so they don't believe it. And so they stay in the vibration of the shadow, and they need to go through the whole unseen process. They need to do the journey with all the insecurity that it involves, and with then the behavior that comes with it, that is of dual nature.
So could you say that's like what I hear you saying? If we do the shadow work, let's say the dark matter is completely light. It's all the unseen is seen.
Well,
So
it's not only shadow work. Yeah, the unseen is, it depends what you mean with shadow, because what I'm referring to is, yes, we need to do shadow work so we move beyond fear-based consciousness, right? And lack consciousness. So that's shadow work. But once many evolved beings have already done that, they are already at a certain level that they transcend that level of consciousness, and some even transcend mass consciousness. When you expand your light, when you expand your consciousness, you always move through layers of forms. You could envision them like veils, and you move through them. But each time you pass through a layer of consciousness, there is a friction, and that friction is just a thin line between victimhood and empowerment, even on advanced levels. Yes, you could say it's shadow work, but it's also just moving through your expansive nature as a soul, so you embody your full essence.
So what I hear you saying, the dark matter are the infinite possibilities to make the unseen seen and to get us to completion of our consciousness. So in fact, if dark matter wouldn't exist anymore and everything is light and we create infinite with light, maybe that's why scientists or whatever people they didn't discover yet what the dark matter is, because it's also inside of them, this kind of a, let's say, a blockage or something, or like this veil that is holding them from the truth.
It's the unknowing.
The unknowing, yeah. So
Dark matter
they,
is the
know
unknowing.
they know already so much, but yeah, the dark matter we don't know. So there's also a reason why they don't know, because
They
it's the
have not innerly
unknowable.
tapped into it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's based, it's not based, but it comes along with a lot of fear and yeah, your own wounds already also, like in this life, in your ancestral life, in Ale, how far can you go?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say more about that? Because there are primordial wounds we don't talk about.
Yes, exactly. How shall I to not expand too much on it? So if you're going into your inner dark matter, then what most of people do on Earth today is go into human trauma and go into the dissolving of blockages on a human level, even ancestral and on soul level, on the level of the different incarnations that they have had on Earth. Like they had trauma in Lemuria or at Atlantis. Many of us have endured a trauma on Atlantis, and in all the lives after that, from 50,000 years ago until now, and we have our soul endured a lot of trauma. But then again, on a cosmic level, we also have had a lot of trauma because we are in that template of light and dark and the unseen and the unknowing and the insecurity that comes with it. And the deep inner trust that sometimes we can't find because we don't remember it. But beyond that, there is also the primordial trauma on your soul level, on the intrinsic soul level of your feminine and your masculine essence. Because when you were born as a soul, you had the integrity of the symbiosis of your feminine and divine, your divine feminine and your divine masculine essence. But coming into that template of light and dark, at a certain point, there was this separation on those levels. And that these are the first primordial traumatic events that keep triggering into all existences, on cosmic existences, on human existences, on all levels of existence within this cosmos, mainly
So
within this cosmos.
you mean the separation of the masculine and the feminine?
Yes, and I'm saying many on this cosmos, but that's not really correct. It actually goes beyond this cosmos. It started from the moment your soul was created and went into creation. And it depends where it went, which templates were active. So what people often forget is that when they go into therapy or they do healing or they do courses, that they are working on a specific layer that is very much linked to the earth or the etheric realms or on certain levels, but they don't tap into those primordial levels, and thus they do not tap into the dark matter that lies on these levels as well. So there is this huge lack of completion, untapped completion that is very easy to move into. And these are the things that I do when people engage in Venus light technology or the cosmic moon codes. The cosmic moon codes, which is really focused on the dark inner matter, on the unseen, bringing it to the seen. Very powerful. I will leave in the comment box, I will leave a link so people can explore what that is. So yeah, dark matter is very vast, and there are different ways of navigating it, of illuminating it, but it is important to do. You know, when you were speaking earlier and you moved it to the trauma bit, you know what I was thinking? It was something you said. You said, but scientists, they don't know what the dark matter is because innerly they did not tap into it themselves. But what if they would do that? What if scientists would tap into their inner dark matter, illuminate it, and with their background, their innate potential for science, I personally believe that if they would do that, the scientific discovery would move much faster because they have the innate talent of understanding science. You know, each soul has a different set of talents that they want to manifest. So I think that what you said there was very interesting thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine, because as a soul, if you choose to be here as a scientist, there, yeah, and everything what is without is within. It's like a search. You will not get farther than how you are developed within, because everything
Yeah.
is related to each other. Um, so yeah, so that would be lovely. That's allez, like Deepak Chopra is quite combining those two, the spiritual world and the spiritual
Yeah.
development and science.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
He
a
does
sacred
that too.
marriage. Yes. Hmm.
Yes.
Wow, a lot of stuff to think about.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
shall we wrap it up for the dark matter? And maybe in our next episode, we could illuminate another aspect of that same podcast.
yeah. So what we conclude about what we talked about today about dark matter, it's so vast, because there's not only dark matter in space and we don't know what it is, but it's on many, many layers. It's even within us and beyond us, in our, like, until our really primordial stage of, yeah, being born as a soul. There's already existing dark matter. As soon as we exist, there's the light and there's the dark
Well,
matter.
it exists as soon as we move into a certain template, into a form, because then in that form there is a specific program of completion of that evolutionary flux that you follow. So many beings on earth, I think maybe 99.9% they follow the evolutionary flux of cosmos, but there is also the possibility of moving beyond that evolutionary flux and just embodying the all-knowingness within, transcending the dark matter within and illuminating it all on all levels. There was something that I know we're concluding, but there was something that I wanted to add, and I always liked it as a metaphor. But if you would consider that cosmos, and I will show the picture again, cosmos, I know it's a metaphoric drawing. If you would consider that cosmos has a certain vibration that it needs to have to complete itself. And we as souls that decided to incarnate in this cosmos, we need to give her our completed vibration of when we come into self-realization. You and I are a cogwheel, a vibrational cogwheel that she needs to put into her cosmological clock so that it starts to wind as one vibration. And that is why it is so important that all of us on all levels dissolve or illuminate the dark matter. Yeah. It's a metaphor that I often share with the people I work with.
Hmm. Yeah, and then the next thing, because it's also something Deepak Chopra was talking about, is to dissolve um, the, the the removal of your ego identity, to get in contact with your source. But where is the ego situated? You can't see it as dark matter. It's not dark.
It's
It's
the
helpful, but
consciousness.
yeah,
It's
it's
just
also a
the
template.
conscious level. It's the conscious
It's just
level.
it's a, yeah, but it's not a template within a
No, it is
template.
you understanding that you're in this template.
Okay, yeah, just okay.
Your comprehension of when you just left that illusion. And you know, the more I work with people on the more advanced levels, we understand that there are illusions even on the most advanced levels of I am presence. We keep on shedding veils, shedding illusions, seeing truth in its most pure ways. They speak about awakening, but what is awakening? It is on so many levels. But maybe that's something we can go into next time.
That's good for another video. What is
Perfect.
awakening? Good one.
Thank you, Caroline. It was lovely speaking with you
Yes,
again.
a pleasure.